In our last class, discussed from chapter 2, where Arjun was in condition of bewilderment. He was in the condition of indecision. He was not able to decide should he fight or he should not fight. Also, he gave up his bow, Gandiva, and he came to the point of surrendering to Krishna. Karpanna doho dosho pahata svabhava. We studied yesterday how Arjuna surrendered to Krishna by saying the words of a disciple. So long he was discussing with Krishna like a friend, but now he surrendered to Krishna like a disciple. And therefore, from here, the relationship between Krishna and Arjuna got evolved to a relationship of guru and disciple. So here, Arjuna is telling Krishna about his dharma sammudha. Dharma sammudha means confusion about his dharma, confusion about his own prescribed duty, what he's supposed to do. And in confusion, he did the best thing, surrendering onto a authorized spiritual master. Shishyasteham. From today, I am your disciple. So we discussed in our group that we study 2.7 and 2.8. These two verses are very important. Prabhupada gave very nice purports to both the verses. So what we are going to do is, we'll divide the class in two groups. Each group, the first group will do verse number 7. And the second group will do verse number 8. What you need to do is identify general principles from Arjuna's dilemma and how he surrenders to Krishna. Points from the verse, points from the purport. We have to write the bullet points. What we can learn from Arjuna's dilemma and Arjuna's surrender to Krishna. And then we should write how these points are relevant to our own practice of Krishna consciousness. So this will be a discussion about practical application of these two verses. You can include many examples, either from the contemporary world or from scriptures. You can add many references, and this will also help us to apply these teachings in our day-to-day sadhana, day-to-day Krishna consciousness. So is the question clear? We have to identify the general principles from Arjuna's dilemma and surrender to Krishna, and we should also take out the principles which are relevant for our own practice of Krishna consciousness. How we can take full benefit of these teachings in our day-to-day Krishna consciousness. So I request devotees to kindly take screenshot or photo of these questions so they are clear what we are supposed to do. And I will request to select one speaker from each group. When you go in your group, you can select one speaker. He will present the points and all the team members can give them points. We will have 10 minutes for preparation. So first 5 minutes, you can read the purports and everybody can write their points, contemplate on the examples. And the other 5 minutes, you can give your points to the speaker. You can share your points in the team. Is it okay? Any confusion? Okay. So, and those who don't contribute, you can inspire them to speak at least something in the group. So that way they also feel included. Sometimes devotees are very shy and humble. So you may have to call their names and tell that, Prabhu, would you like to say something? Or would you like to share some point? So that way they also feel included. Okay, so I am creating the rooms. Yeah, you can join your respective rooms and the time starts now.
Hare Krishna, welcome back. I hope devotees got enough time. So let's hear from team one. Who is the speaker?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I am
Hare Krishna. Sachi Maharani Mataji, your internet.
Prabhuji, I just need a second, just a second.
Yes. Did anyone count how many times Prabhupada wrote perplexities?
And
9.
9.
10
Nine
times.
times.
10 times.
10 times.
11
times.
9, 10, 11.
9 times.
10.
9.
Which
Yeah,
one?
9.
10
times.
10 times.
Yes, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji. You are ready?
Yeah. So we noted that Arjuna, he was in a dilemma because of material activity, and reason was um, because of his attachment towards the family, and he was confused and afraid to lose them, and he was trying to protect them from death as he is just a human. Then like perplexity to everyone, even it knocks everyone's door as Arjun also came in the same. Then we noted misery. Arjuna went to Krishna whenever, whenever we are in misery, we should go to our guru. Like Arjuna was also confused where he should, what he should do. He should conquer or he should be defeated. Despite of all arguments, is still Arjuna here confused. He tried to first instruct Krishna and then he took shelter under him. So best for us is that we should follow our spiritual master so that we can be free from perplexity. We are unable to take decisions, so we need spiritual master to guide who is full in Krishna consciousness. Human life is very essential, therefore we must take surrender to take max advantage of the same.
Yeah.
Trouble like forest fire shall come, we should not be disturbed. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Mataji. So there are so many instances, there's so many circumstances in our life where we also get perplexed. We also feel confused. So those times we should remember that best thing to do is to seek guidance. We have our spiritual authorities, we have devotees guiding us, and that's the biggest opulence actually.
benefit of that facility and get out of that perplexity. Thank you so much, Mataji. Team 2, who is the speaker?
Hare Krishna. So Prabhuji, devotees encouraged me to do this service of presenting this verse to Bhagavad Gita 2.8. So our was the principles of this verse, how it is relevant in our Krishna consciousness. So the main principles over mentioned in this verse are like whether you have academic knowledge, whether you have scholarship, whether you are in high position, whether you are in low position, any of the situation you are, you don't be you won't be able to take a proper thing if you don't have a proper knowledge. You cannot be a guru. Like the verse mentioned in the verse is kiba vipra kiba nyasi sudra kene nai jai krishna tattvavita sei guru hai. So as much as amount of academic knowledge, scholarship, or any kind of knowledge you have, you are not perfect until and unless you don't have a proper guru who is perfect in Krishna consciousness. So here two examples devotee shared. One was like a fish. Fish, if it is in a pond, if it is in a water, then they are fully free. But when fish is kept outside, it is like completely in a distressed situation, in a confused situation, and they don't have any option. So they just lamenting for this again being in the water. So generally what happens with the human beings, a living entity, when they are with family and different relationships, so they are lamenting. Like Arjuna in this verse, he's lamenting that how his family members and all are standing in front of him who are going to fight with him, and they are going to be killed. So he's lamenting for that particular situation. So be a living entity being in this material world, having all this kind of knowledges, which is academic, economic, and scholarships, but still they are having distress situation, and they are lamenting for some happiness everywhere. They don't get proper happiness, and until and unless they don't take shelter of a proper guru, whether might be a student, whether might be a person working in a company, they don't take proper guidance of a guru who has perfect knowledge, so they don't get the solution of their situation. So similarly, a living entity in the material world, if they don't take shelter of a guru who is having a perfect knowledge in Krishna consciousness, they won't get a solution. So this
Yes.
was the thing, Rajan. Thank you. If I'm missing
Yeah.
anything, devotees can add.
Yeah. The word knowledge in the current scenario is actually ignorance. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Jada vidya jat mayar vaibhav, तुम्हारे भजन बाधा, अनित्य संसारे मोह जन्मिया, जीव के करोए गधा. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that so-called knowledge of this world is just developing our more and more attachments. And they are actually a hindrance, an obstacle in your service. And what they do? The result of material knowledge is they make a person into an ass, into a donkey. That is the result of modern education. But when we surrender to Krishna, when we surrender to his representative, then we get spiritual knowledge, which gives us our lost nature back. That is the importance of spiritual knowledge. That is the importance of cultivating spiritual knowledge. So here Arjun submits himself that, my dear Krishna, now I surrender unto you. You guide me. And then Sanjay tells Dhritarashtra, having spoken thus, Arjuna was completely silent. He told Krishna, Krishna, I cannot fight. I really don't know what to do. and saying that he sat down on his chariot. That time, Krishna started to smile. Now, it's a very important thing that the first reaction Krishna gave to Arjuna was he was smiling. Our acharyas tell that there are 5 reasons for what Krishna smiled. Is everything, whatever Krishna does, is very mysterious. But still, pure devotees know Krishna. They know his heart, and they can tell why Krishna was smiling. One reason was that he understood the feelings of Arjuna. When you understand somebody's feelings, to confirm it, you give a smile, as if you're acknowledging that, yes, I can relate with what you're saying. So Krishna confirmed that, okay, Arjun, I understand why are you saying like that. Second reason why Krishna was smiling was because Krishna knew whatever Arjun you say, I know you are going to fight anyway. At last you are going to fight. So Krishna was smiling that no matter whatever you speak, I am going to make you fight. So that thinking that Krishna was smiling. Third reason was Krishna doesn't get affected by external situations. Imagine, like all most of the devotees here, they may have the children. Now imagine you give nice coaching to your children, you put him in the best school of the city, you paid a lot of fees, and on the day of exam, your child says that, I'm not feeling like going to the exam. How you'll feel? You'll feel angry, you'll get agitated. For this, I spent so much money. For this, I took so much trouble. But Krishna is not like that. Krishna arranged for the battle. Krishna made Arjun ready. And on the moment where, at the moment where he's supposed to fight, Arjun denies to fight. Krishna doesn't get affected. He is smiling because he is not touched by material modes. Fourth one is, even in the battlefield, Krishna is not feeling insecure. See, if you are in a battlefield and if you are a fighter, you have weapons in your hand. But chariot driver is not having any weapons. So when a Maharathi would attack another Maharathi, first thing he would do is attack Sarathi, attack the chariot driver. Because if chariot driver is killed, then the person cannot go anywhere. Then he can be easily trapped. So although he is in the battlefield, he is not having any anxiety that, I am not having any weapon, I am driving the chariot, anybody can kill me. Because he is the Supreme Personality of God. He is smiling. And another thing is, last reason, fifth reason, Krishna is giving Arjun confidence that I know the solution. Don't worry. You may be in so much anxiety, you may be in depressed state, perplexed state, but I know the solution. So Krishna is giving him confidence. Don't worry, I will solve your problem. So after that, these talks of Krishna and Arjun are very important for the whole world. Therefore, Krishna did counsel Arjun in some camp, in some secluded place. No. He gave these teachings of Bhagavad Gita in the battlefield, in front of both the armies, so that everyone can get benefit. Talks of Bhagavad Gita, these teachings of Bhagavad Gita are not for any particular person, society, or community. No. They are for everyone. Therefore, by the reason of guiding Arjun, Krishna is actually giving these teachings to the whole world. And this is what Krishna starts to speak. Yeah, Krishna chastised mildly before that also, but here also, Krishna starts to chastise Arjun. Asocasyan anvasocastvam pragyavadamscha bhashase gatasun agatasunschа nanu sochanti pandita. Sri Bhagavan Vacha. Krishna says, Bhagavan says, Supreme Personality of Godhead says. Can somebody read the translation? Jagatambika Mataji, would you like to read?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy for grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead.
So Krishna started to tell, Pragya Vadamscha Bhasase, you are speaking like a learned man. That means what? You are not a learned man. You're speaking like a learned man, but you are not a learned man. Because you are lamenting for something which you should not lament for. You're lamenting for the body, which is anyway going to die. So Krishna started to chastise Arjuna. Prabhupada gave a beautiful, beautiful purport. Sachin Prabhu, would you like to read? Please unmute.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
The Lord at once, sorry, Prabhuji, 1 minute. The Lord at once took the position of the teacher and chastised the student, calling him indirectly a fool. The Lord said, you're talking like a learned man, but you do not know that one who is learned, one who knows what is body and what is soul, does not lament for any stage of the body, neither in the living nor in the dead condition. As explained in later chapters, it will be clear that knowledge means to know matter and spirit and the controller of both. Arjuna argued that religious principles should be given more importance than politics or sociology, but he did not know that knowledge of matter, soul, and the supreme is even more important than religious formularies. And because he was lacking in such knowledge, he should not have posed himself as a very learned man. As he did not happen to be a very learned man, he was consequently lamenting for something which was unworthy of lamentation. The body is born and is destined to be vanquished today or tomorrow. Therefore, the body is not as important as the soul. One who knows this is actually learned, and for him, there is no cause for lamentation, regardless of the condition of the material body.
So Krishna tries to raise the consciousness of Arjuna. He chastises him. He tells him, you're talking about a learned man, but you know who is a learned man? Learned man is who knows what is difference between body and soul. And since you're lamenting for body, that means you're not a learned. That is the hidden meaning. He's trying that body, anyway, you are seeing how body is born, it grows, and ultimately body dies. Is there a single person who never dies? You know this concept, but then also you are lamenting for the body. That means you are not learned. You may be speaking like a learned man, but you don't show that characteristic. Real learned man means he should know three things. In India, we have a degree called MSc, Master of, what's that? MSc, Master of Science. But here, but here MSc is different. M means matter, S means spirit, C means controller of both. This is MSc. Every learned man has to be MSc. Matter, you should know what is matter. You should know what is spirit, the difference between matter and spirit. And many, many transcendentalists just stop here. They know matter, they know spirit. But then third level is, we should know that there is something beyond both matter and spirit, that is Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, who is controller of both. Under his control, Maya Dakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam. Under his control, the Prakriti, the matter, functions. And under his control, Mame Vansa Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Under his control only, the living entities also function. So a learned man is who understand difference between matter and spirit and controller of both Krishna. But Arjun is not able to distinguish between matter and spirit. Therefore, Krishna is calling him as not learned. Let us read this. Chetan Prabhu, would you like to read?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu. father and teacher is advised by Chanakya Pandit that you should always chastise your son and disciple. Always find out mistake. Don't be angry. But it is the business of the teacher and the father simply to find out your mistakes, not to find out your good things. Never recognize the disciple's business or son's business as very good. Then they will spoil. That is the injunction of Chanakya Muni. So far we are concerned, when our spiritual master used to chastise, we took it as blessing. That was very nice. And he would chastise like anything. Dumb, rascal, foolish, stupid, anything, all good words.
Nowadays, spiritual master feel nervous to chastise the disciple. Disciple will run away. But that is not Vedic system. Vedic system, disciple means he has to be disciplined. Shishya means who is ready to accept sashan, who is ready to accept the disciplinary action of the spiritual master. So spiritual master would chastise, the spiritual master would give heavy punishment to the disciple. And as a result, the disciple, the spiritual master would mold the disciple into a very good character. But since we have not given that kind of liberty to our spiritual teachers, they don't do that. Srila Prabhupada is saying that our spiritual master, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati, would chastise heavily. And as a result, we can see disciples of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati. Even Srila Prabhupada, he would, correct his disciples like anything. And as a result, his disciples have achieved so much. So just like if a stone is not ready to accept the carvings by a sculptor, he can never become a murti. He can never become a sculpture. A stone should be ready to accept the beatings of the sculpture. So like that, Krishna understood the 5 arguments put forward by Arjuna. And now Krishna is going to smash each argument in his teachings to Arjuna. One by one, he will just cut off all his misunderstandings. So in this chapter, now onwards, we will see how Krishna is going to eliminate the doubts of Arjuna. The first argument which Arjuna put forward was compassion, misplaced compassion. And Krishna will refute that argument by giving him jnana. As we discussed, what is jnana? What is learned man? Distinguish between body and soul. So Krishna will teach him what is the difference between body and soul. So my dear Arjuna, you are trying to save the coat of the drowning man. That is not sensible thing. That is senseless. So you have to save the men. You don't have to save the coat of the drowning man. So Krishna will give the perfect knowledge between difference between body and spirit that will refute the argument of Arjuna of compassion. Then second and third arguments which Arjuna gave was enjoyment and sinful reactions. He was very concerned. If everyone in my family will die, how I will enjoy? How I will handle the sinful reactions I will get by killing my own guru, by killing my own father, by killing my own grandfather. So Krishna will refute those arguments by telling him karma kanda, how karma kanda exactly works, how he can achieve heaven just by dying on the battlefield, and what to speak about material enjoyment, and how he will be saved of one's sinful reactions because he is fighting for dharma. So Krishna will give him the knowledge of karma kanda. Then Krishna will elevate him further, that why are you so concerned about your own karma? You should do buddhi yoga, karma yoga, nishkam karma. So no sinful reactions will come to you. So Krishna will also give him that security that sin will not touch you. Just do what I am saying you to do. So like that, Krishna will refute one by one all the arguments of Arjuna. Then in next chapter, Krishna will also clarify about the destruction of dynasty. That was the last argument put forward by Arjun, that what will happen about the society and Varnashram. So Krishna will also clarify that in the next chapter. If you want, you can take screenshot of this particular section, that in which verses Krishna refutes which particular argument of Arjun. And when he confirms, when he clarifies all these particular topics, then ultimately Krishna encourages Arjun to fight. And that's how his indecision is also clarified, because he was in indecision because of these 4 points. But when these 4 points are clarified, then he was not in indecision. Then he was pakka. Then he was resolute that yes, I have to fight. So we will go in the first section where Krishna is trying to clarify that you should not be compassionate about the body, but the soul. So this is the first teaching which Arjuna gives. He chastised Arjuna enough, but now he starts to give him the knowledge by which he can come out of his problem. So this verse is again very important. Na tu evaham jatu nasham na tvam neme janadipa na chaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayam atah param. Pratima Mataji, would you like to read?
Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be.
So this is first teaching of Bhagavad Gita. This first theoretical teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Not theoretical, but the philosophical teaching of Bhagavad Gita. Where Krishna tells that you are thinking that these particular people will die and you will not be able to see them. But I tell you, there was never a time where I, you, or all these kings never existed. And never in future there will be any time that we all will not exist. We all will exist in future also. Now there is an interesting point here. Krishna defeats Mayavad philosophy in this verse. Can anyone explain that? How Krishna defeats Mayavad philosophy in this particular verse? Yes, Bharat Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, okay, that here, what Krishna is saying that...
Sorry. First you can explain what is Mayavad philosophy, then you can tell how Krishna defeats Mayavad philosophy.
That Mayavad philosophy is that because we have got this body, we are suffering here. And then when we are liberated, we come again together with the Supreme. I mean, Mayavad philosophy doesn't have a form of God, but you reach the Supreme and then your problem is solved. So Krishna is saying here that in the past, I existed, Arjun, you existed, and all these kings existed. Now I am here, you are there, all these kings are there. And in the future, you're going to be here, I'm going to be here, and all these kings are going to be here. Therefore, where is the merging? There's no merging into the Supreme.
Exactly. There is no merging. As Mayavadis, what they say, that we are also God, you are also, everybody is God. Because we got entrapped by Maya, we have got different forms. And future, when we perfect ourselves, we will go back and merge into the same Supreme Person. But Krishna is not agreeing to that. He is telling that in all particular times, we all will be separately existing. So Krishna is refuting Mayavad philosophy in the very first, his philosophical teaching in Bhagavad Gita. Arun Charan Prabhu, you want to add something?
Yeah, like just putting the same thing in other words, like Mayavadis understand that after liberation, the soul merges into Brahma and vanishes from its own existence. But Krishna says here, Neha Bhikrama Nashosti, that there will never be the end. So even in this material body, material existence also, we have our individual presence, usually we hear lot many these motivational speakers saying that you are different, you are different, and they are motivating like that. So Krishna is saying here directly that not only materially but spiritually also, even if you go into Brahma, into the Brahman existence, there also you will be having your individual existence.
Yeah. So we can understand that these Mayavadi philosophers, they are like, if somebody is trying to lick the honey from outside the bottle, they will never get the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. It's so simple. If somebody reads Bhagavad Gita, it's so simple and so clear. But they want to relish the teachings of Bhagavad Gita without going deep. And therefore they get confused. Here Krishna is very clear that spirit soul is eternally existing as an individual, as a particular person. In future also they continue to exist like that. They never merge into the Supreme Lord. So then Krishna tells this the famous verse. He talks about the existence of soul. Because when you understand that yes, okay, we will be existing, we were there, we are here, we will be there. So what is that particular identity of a living entity? Because we see soul, we see the body dies. But what is that particular element which doesn't die, which continue to exist? So that Krishna tells in verse number 13. Dehinoismin yatha dehe kaumaram yovanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhiras tatra na muhyati. Very, very famous verse. Very famous verse. You can mark this verse. This verse, Prabhupada quoted maximum times in his lectures, in his books, in his presentations, everywhere. Very famous verse. Kripalu Keshavi Mataji, can you read the translation? Please unmute.
It's okay.
Yeah.
The embodied soul continuously passes in this body from boyhood to youth to old age. The soul similarly passes into another body at death. A sober person
Yes.
is not bewildered by such a change.
Such a simple analogy.
Yeah.
Krishna gives such a simple example. This is the way of preaching. The preaching doesn't mean that you have to say so complicated things that nobody understands. How was the lecture? Very nice. What you understood? Nothing. That should not be preaching. Krishna is telling how to preach. Expert teacher means who makes the subject matter simple. So here Krishna is making it simple by giving simple example. He says that, have you look your own photo of childhood? Can you recognize? Like when you are 1 month old, can you recognize your own photo for now? Mother has to tell, this is you and this is your elder brother. We can't recognize our own photo because that body has completely changed. In boyhood, we are different body. In youth, we are different body. In old age, we are different body. So the body is changing, but we are not changing. We are same. So what is that which is unchanging? That is soul. That is the existence of soul. And just like when in this same body, the changes of the body is not affecting us, in the same way, after death, the soul goes to new body and soul remains unaffected. Krishna will give another analogy of dress. Just like we change dress. Jirnani vansansi jatha vihaya. Where the old clothes, we change new clothes. We don't change, the dress change. In the same way, when the body change, the soul is same. The soul is never changing. If we have this understanding, then there is no cause of lamentation. Arjun should not lament for Bhima, for Bhishma, for Drona, because they will get fresh bodies. They are noble persons. They will get good destination either in heaven or next body, next birth. They will get good karma, the good bodies. But why are you so worried about this body? You should be worried about the soul. And Krishna uses the term Dhiras Tatra Namoyati. Dhira. Dhira means sober person. One who is in perfect knowledge. And you remember what is the perfect knowledge? MSc. One who knows the difference between matter, spirit, and controller of both. So one who knows what is soul, one who knows what is body, and one who knows what is super soul is Dhira. So if you know the difference between body and soul, you will not be affected by these changes. And then Krishna describes in next two verses what are the qualities of a Dhira. What is the qualities of a sober person? How you can recognize that yes, this person is a sober person. And then what destination that sober person gets. Krishna tells, verse number 14. Now the first philosophical teaching of Bhagavad Gita we already studied, difference between body and soul. But first practical teaching, behavioral teaching of Bhagavad Gita is verse number 14. Tolerance. Matra sparshastu kaunteya sitoshno sukha dukkhada agama paino anityas tamas titikshusya bharata. Krishna says, Matra sparshastu kaunteya. Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, you have to tolerate the dualities of this world. What are the dualities? Sita, Ushna. Shita means winter. Ushna means summer. Sukha, Dukha. Sukha means happiness. Dukha means misery. Agamo, Apaino, Anityas. They are like the waves. They come and go. They come and go. So all these dualities, a Dhira Purusha, Dhira person, tolerates. Titiksha. Titiksha means one who tolerates. This is the characteristic of a Dhira person. Why he tolerates? Because he knows that these are just the external changes. One example Krishna gave in the last verse. Krishna told one big change is the change of the body. When there are changes in the body, people don't like it. You know, just imagine you get wrinkles, pimples. How you feel? People don't like all that changes. Nobody wants to get old. But Dhira person, sober person, he knows, no, I am not this body. My soul is all beautiful, but this body is getting old. And once this body is completely of no use, then I will get next body. In the same way, we have different seasons, we have different situations. And since these are externals, Dhira Purusha controls them. Moksharupi Prabhu, can you read the translation of 14th verse?
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhu. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and the disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, ocean of Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed.
Yeah. So this practice of tolerance is very important. It's a characteristic of a sober person. And he tolerates these situations, understanding that he doesn't belong to this material world. So Arjun, before you were having a nice time with your relatives, now you are in a situation where you have to fight with them. Don't get attached. Tolerate it. This is a situation where you are in and you have to practice your dharma. So somebody may ask, what I will get by doing all that? What I will get by tolerating all this? Then Krishna tells the next verse. Sudevi Mataji, can you read translation of verse 15?
Verse 15?
Yeah.
Yeah. O best among men, Arjun, the person the person who is not disturbed by happiness and distress and is steady in both is certainly eligible for liberation.
So one who is not disturbed, one who learns to tolerate the external occurrences of body, external situations in the material world, what result he gets? He gets liberation. So Krishna clarifies this, that this happiness, distress will come on coming and going. But if we tolerate without being disturbed, we are eligible for liberation. So what do you want, Arjun? You are from a great dynasty. Krishna tells two names in this verse, Kaunteya and Bharata. Kaunteya means from the line of Kunti, and Bharata means from the line of Pandu. So both your mother's side and father's side, the big dynasties, they are famous dynasties. Are you going to keep their name high, or you just want to be an ordinary person? You have to have that spirit of liberation. You have to get liberated. If you want to get liberated, you should tolerate these changes. Prabhupada is giving some examples in the purport. Practical examples. He says that early morning bath in winter season is characteristic of a sober person. That is tolerant. Even in winter season, we should take bath early in the morning. Even in summer, hot summer, women should cook in the kitchen. That is another sober person. Of course, nowadays we have all this central AC and things. It's not the same. But in olden times, the kitchen was very hot in summer, and women used to tolerate that and serve. So similarly, Arjun is advised to preserve his duties, even at the cost of fighting with his family members. That you should not get affected, you should fight. And the next few verses, Krishna tells difference between body and soul. Very important. He tells that how the spirit and matter are different. Matter is continuously changing, but spirit doesn't change. Krishna tells that soul is not affected by the external occurrences of body. Do we really change? We were 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old. We never change. So soul is the real identity. And therefore, Krishna tells that there is no death to soul. Soul is eternal. We have to understand the nature of both. So then somebody may ask that how this body is functional then? If body is dead, how this body is functional? Because soul, by the expansion of the consciousness throughout the body, soul makes the body functional. But when soul leaves the body, body becomes completely inert, completely inactive. So nobody can compare soul and body in one category. Material body is destructible, but soul is indestructible, immeasurable, and it is immortal. So like that, Krishna inspires Arjun about the existence of soul. Krishna also tells the size of the soul. Krishna tells that the size of soul is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. Like if you take the one hair from your head and the tip of the hair, if you divide in 100 parts, then you take 100th part and again divide it into 100 parts. Then one part of that single piece of tip of the hair will be the size of soul. Now the question is, we have advanced microscopes. Why can't we see soul? We can examine so many things under the slides in microscope. Now Krishna is telling the size of soul is 1/10,000th part of the tip of the hair. This is the size of the soul. So why can't we see under a microscope? Any thought? Yes, Saurabh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So I think we cannot see because it's not matter, it's spiritual. So we cannot see it in terms of, so our senses are not, our senses are imperfect, so we cannot see that.
Exactly. Our senses are material. and they can only take material inputs. Our gadgets are material. They can only understand material reality. But spirit is spiritual. So to see spirit with material apparatus is difficult. But when we have a spiritual vision, when we get purified, then we can see spiritual subject matter. For that instance, even people say that, show me God, then I'll believe. How you will see God? Because God is completely spiritual and your experience is material. To see God, we have to spiritualize our senses. Therefore, Brahma Samhita says, Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochanena. We have to see him with Premanjana, with eyes anointed with love. So there is a process. Like if you want to meet the Prime Minister of any country, you can't just go in front of his office and say, if Prime Minister exists, show me the Prime Minister. The security will just throw us out. Nobody can be entertained like that. Yes, you can see Prime Minister, but you should have a proper agenda. You should follow the proper protocol. You should get the appointment. Then you can see the Prime Minister. In the same way, we can see spiritual reality if we follow proper procedure. So nobody can just take a telescope and say, okay, Krishna told that soul is this big, so I can just see under my microscope. It's not possible. Another thing which people argue about, Krishna says, Hriddeshe Arjuna Tishtati. Soul stays in the region of heart. Now some intelligent people, they come and ask, what about heart transplant? If you transplant the heart, person doesn't change. But technically, the soul should change because the heart is completely changed. So how to understand that? What happens exactly in heart transplant? Any thoughts on that? You understood the question? Krishna says soul stay in the region of heart. Now when you transplant heart, soul should change. So what to do in that situation? Okay, this time I start from Moksharupi Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. The soul is residing in the region of the heart, not the heart. In the transplant, heart is transplanted, but the soul is residing in the region of the heart.
Okay, it's in the region, but when the heart is transplanted, doesn't soul go with the heart?
No, soul doesn't go with the heart.
Okay, so where does soul go during the transplant?
The soul remains in that body only.
Yeah, actually, that's correct. Just like I'm sitting on a chair. If you want to change my chair, somebody will bring another chair. I'll stand for a while and they'll put another chair. I'll sit on it. So it's in the region of heart. It's not attached to the heart. It's not dependent on the heart. Rather, the functioning of body is dependent on the presence of the soul. So that way we can understand the heart can be transplanted, all organs can be transplanted, because Krishna already told in 13th verse, even the body will be changed, soul will not get affected. Soul will remain as it is. Dehantara praptir dhirastatra namayati. Even in Dehantar, even the body, what is for heart transplant, whole body transplant, then also soul will not get affected. Because soul is not dependent on heart. Heart is dependent on soul. So that's how we can understand this simple understanding. Then Krishna puts forward another, Bharat Krishna, you have some more point?
Yeah, I mean, what did you say about the heart? You said something just, you quoted a verse, which verse is that? Dehantara.
Dehantar, 13th verse.
Okay, 13th, yeah, okay, all right.
13th verse.
Okay, thank you.
So like that, Krishna puts forward one more argument. He says, okay, even if you think that there is no soul, just imagine, there is no soul. All we are is this body. Now, if we are this body, and body has no soul, that means this is just the combination of some matter, just combination of some chemicals. So if this die, what is the problem? Anyway, body has to die. So why are you lamenting about it? And if you accept there is soul, then also you should not lament, because the body is dying, soul is not dying. So from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation. Because if your relatives are soul, then soul is not dying, body is dying. And if you're thinking they are bodies, then anyway they have to die. If you will not kill, the time factor will kill, the death will kill. There is nobody who can maintain his body forever. So for both perspectives, there is no cause of lamentation. And then Krishna directly hits his first argument of compassion. He says, Na jayate miryate va kadachin. Arjun, what you are talking about? Soul is never taking birth, neither it dies. Your relatives are soul. Na jayate miryate va kadachin. Nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyo. Ajo nitya shashvato yam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Na hanyate hanyamane sharire. You can kill the body, but you cannot kill the soul, because soul never takes birth. And one who never takes birth, how he can die? See, if you don't have we bring some foodstuffs, we have a manufacture date and expiry date. So whoever get a manufacture date, he'll get an expiry date. But soul doesn't have any manufacture date. How he'll have this expiry date? Na jayate miryate va kadachi. Soul can never die because he never birth. Nayam bhutva bhavita na bhuyo. It's not that in some point soul was created and sometime it will be destroyed. It's never. It's nitya shashvato yam purano. It was always there. It was ever existing. That is the nature of soul. Anisha Mataji, would you like to read the translation?
For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain.
So like that, Krishna gives various qualities of soul. Soul is Satchid Ananda. Soul is the same qualities like the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Soul is eternal. It never takes birth nor dies. Unborn, eternal, ever existing, primeval. Is not slain when body is slain. Indestructible, immutable. So like that, Krishna gives different qualities of the body, of the soul. And Krishna is inspiring Arjun that Arjun, don't just think of our body. They did sinful activities and they need to be punished. If you'll not punish them, next birth they have to be miserable. Next birth they have to enjoy the fruits of their sinful activities. Just like king is responsible for activities of his citizens. Now suppose one particular citizen committed one sinful activity. Say he killed someone. Now the murderer, if king will not punish him, next birth he has to suffer. But if king punishes the murderer, next birth he doesn't have to suffer. So Krishna is inspiring Arjun. All these people standing in front of you have done sinful activities because they supported the disrespectful treatment to Draupadi. They did all this injustice to you and your family. They are sinful people. If you don't punish them, next life they will suffer. So why are you thinking about only this life? Why are you thinking about the body? You should think about the soul. Because the body is always changing. There are 6 main changes of the body. This we should remember. It's very helpful in our preaching also. The body takes birth. Then body grows. then body maintains, then he reproduce, gives more, birth to more bodies, then dwindles old age, and then death. So this is the progression of life: birth, growth, stability or maintenance, reproduction, dwindling, and death. So these are the transformation of the body, but soul doesn't get through these changes because soul is eternal. So Arjun, you have to understand that what you are seeing in front of you is transformation of the body, but you have to take care of their soul. Namrasita Mataji, you raised hand.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. What does immutable stand here for the soul?
Immutable means that soul is not to be changed. Soul cannot be changed. You can't just, like Krishna told, they will always exist. You can't just mix them with Brahman, or you can divide soul into two and make two living entities. You can't do that. Soul can't be changed. That way, immutable, like that. Soul has its own identity, and it carries that identity throughout, like that. Okay. Then Krishna gives this famous analogy: Vansansi jirnani yatha vihaya navani granati naropurani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. He says, just like jirnani vansansi, when the clothes get old, we change the clothes. In the same way, when soul thinks the body is not fit for living, or the karma forces soul to go in the next body, soul changes old body and goes to next body. But soul doesn't get affected. Soul cannot be nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chevam kledayanti apo, na shoshyanti maruta. You can't cut soul into pieces. You can't wet soul by water. You can't burn soul by fire. You can't wither the soul by wind. So basically, we can't affect the soul by anything material, because soul is a spiritual spark. Just like the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the blazing fire, and there are many sparks coming out of the fire. The soul are the sparks of the Supreme Lord. So they carry the same qualities as the Supreme Lord. So this particular spark of fire of Lord is a spiritual. So you can't really affect a soul with material elements. Therefore, the soul is having all these wonderful qualities. It's unbreakable, insoluble, neither burn or die, dried, everlasting. And one more good quality: present everywhere. Sarvagataha. Soul can exist in any condition. Modern scientists say that no, for life there has to be this condition, that condition. But our scripture doesn't accept that. In any condition, soul can adapt the situation, and soul can live in any condition. Unchangeable, immovable, eternally the same, invincible. Invisible because it is spiritual subject matter and we cannot see with material senses. Inconceivable, immutable. So all these wonderful qualities, Krishna tells, you should not think that soul will be born or die. Otherwise you will lament. You will think that soul will die, then you will lament. Namrasita Mataji.
Sorry, Prabhu, again, immovable.
Immovable means you can't drag soul with material arrangements. Like suppose soul is staying, just 1 minute. Yeah. So just like soul is situated in a living entity's particular body, I can't create a setup and force soul to move from this body to another body. We can't do that. When the arrangement of karma soul will change the body. We can't force soul to move. Tomorrow I decide, no, my soul, my region of heart is okay, but I want my soul in my knees. So let me drag my soul to the knees. I can't do that. So all these material calculations don't work on the soul. That is the meaning of immovable. Then Krishna tells one more indirect factor to Arjuna. He says that there are many class of people who don't accept the existence of soul. Who are they? Their names are Lokayikas and Vaibhashikas. Who are Lokayikas? Lokayikas are those who are materialistics. Have you heard about Charvak? Philosophy of Charvak? Charvak said, beg, borrow or steal, but live life king size. Whatever you do, Rinam Kritva Gritam Pivet. You take loan from people, but drink ghee. He was that type of philosopher. And people appreciated Charvak philosophy because he told, after all, you have to live only once. If you die, what enjoyment is there? So just do it. This motto is coming from Charvak actually. So these are Lokayikas. And Vaibhashikas are those who don't accept the existence of soul. They think that by end of the body, person also ends. That's it. This body is everything. So even if you accept their theory, and the modern scientists also very much match with their theory, and you think that body is just combination of chemicals, then why you are lamenting? Because we are just burning out the chemicals. We are just killing the chemicals. So Krishna in between is just playing with Arjuna's psychology. He is telling him that. Then Arjuna said, no, I don't believe they are chemicals. So then Krishna said, yes, that's what I was telling. Jatasya hi dhruvam mrityu dhruvam janma mritasya cha tasmat api pariharte natam sochitam arhasi. One who has taken birth is sure to die. But you think about their soul. That's what you need to do. You can't just depend on your calculations of body. You have to think about their ultimate good. So Krishna is, creating the interest in Arjuna. Otherwise, Arjuna will get off track. So in between, Krishna threw this ball. Krishna said, okay, are you in the category of Lokayikas? No. Arjuna said, no, I don't believe them. Then Krishna said, yes, then believe they are soul. So just fight and kill them for dharma. So like that, Krishna is inspiring Arjuna. And this is the first pillar of compassion which Krishna broke for Arjuna. And he gave so many wonderful characteristics of soul. In total, he gave 30 characteristics. You can take screenshot of this. And different verses tell different qualities of soul. And if we talk about any of the quality which we are reading so far, Arjuna should not lament for any person present on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, because they all are soul. And there is no reason for lamentation for Arjuna. So like that, Krishna is trying to raise the knowledge of Arjuna, and we will see further tomorrow. Tomorrow there will be no class, but in the next class, we will see the other 3 pillars of Arjuna's doubt also. Krishna systematically refutes, and he brings Arjuna to the level of proper understanding. So when we are helping somebody to come out of their problem, we have to systematically understand it. See, Krishna's presentation is not random. Somebody may think that, oh, Arjuna is talking about the fight and Krishna is talking about body soul. How is it relevant? It is relevant because Arjuna put forward those arguments. And in the same order, Krishna is refuting his arguments. So that way his presentation is very, very perfect and bona fide, and it's going deep in Arjuna's heart. So I request devotees to read till verse 30th of 2nd chapter, because we covered that theme. And next class, we'll go forward from 31st. Hare Krishna. Any question? Yes, Namrasita Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, can you just explain the last 4 to 5 lines of verse 2.7?
Okay, I'm just opening it. 2.7. Krishna is therefore original spiritual master. That one?
Prabhu, this yet foolish mundane scholars explain that one need not submit to Krishna as a person, but to the unborn within Krishna. There is no
Yeah.
difference.
See, there is one philosopher, not philosopher, he's politician actually. I can tell name also, Dr. Radhakrishnan. He was very famous for his commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And he wrote in his commentary that actually Bhagavad Gita was not spoken by Krishna. Bhagavad Gita was spoken by unborn Brahman inside Krishna. And this Bhagavad Gita was very famous. So people still talk about this concept. So Prabhupada is telling that Krishna, there is no difference between within and without of Krishna because his body is spiritual. There is no soul in Krishna. His whole body is spiritual. His whole body is soul. So there is no difference between inside and outside. But this kind of people who don't even know that Lord, Supreme Lord is all spiritual, he is not influenced by material nature. In fact, material nature works under the custody, under the direction of the Supreme Lord. How we can understand Bhagavad Gita? Therefore, Prabhupada is telling here that these mundane, foolish scholars, they think that no, they don't want to surrender to Krishna, but somebody inside Krishna. But they don't know there is no difference between Krishna as inside and outside. It's whole one person. So that is the Prabhupada's explanation there. It's okay? Yeah. Amar Nitai Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, I had the same questions. I had not understood what is the difference between Krishna within and without. Now it is clear. Thank you.
Okay. Arun Charan Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mata.
Actually, I forgot that what you told about lokalikas. Now you told that two category.
Yeah.
I don't know.
See, lokaikas means, loka means about the material world. They are more conscious about the material world. How to enjoy in the material world. They are philosophers. Even in Krishna's times, there were philosophers like that who were materially oriented. So first one Krishna, Prabhupada wrote in purport is Lokaika. Lokaika means these particular people would say that just enjoy life. Why you want to think about body and soul? Who saw? After death, what will happen? So just enjoy. Beg, borrow, steal, do whatever sinful activities. Just enjoy your life. That is Lokaika. Another one is Vaibhashika. They believe that yes, there may be soul or there may be person different from body, but they think that with body they also die. Like, okay, I am somebody and this is my body, but when my body dies, I also die. There is no life after death. That is their understanding. So Krishna is telling, are you belonging to this category? Arjun cannot digest that. No, I don't belong to this category. Then Krishna says, then believe what I am saying, that these all are spirit souls and you don't have to worry about their bodily situation. So like that. Okay?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Saurabh Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Prabhu. Prabhuji, every time, so, I'm seeing that verses every time Krishna says to Arjun that you discharge your duty. Now, obviously, in the next verses, Krishna also talks about Karam Kand, Karam Yoga. But discharge your duty. Now, for us, like people who are, in today's world, how to identify what is your duty? Means one is obviously you are in a family and then you have to take care of Grahast ashram. But what is your actual duty? How can you identify? Because your actual duty is to serve the Lord because of the relationship with the Lord. Now, if that is the
Yes.
actual duty, and most of the time, even 95% of the days, 24 hours is wasted around bodily and the other stuff. So then how a person can identify, what is the real duty?
See, how we can identify, the simple answer is what Arjuna did. Arjuna started Bhagavad Gita by accepting Krishna as spiritual master. Shishyasteyam shadimam tam prapanna. And at the end of Bhagavad Gita, in 18th chapter, what Arjuna says? Karishye vachanam tava. Krishna, I heard whole Bhagavad Gita, but what I learned? Karishye vachanam tava. Whatever you will tell me, I will just execute it. Now coming to our situation, we should also have guidance in our life. We should have spiritual teachers in our life who can teach us. And what they will teach us? That you don't need to change the situation of life, but we have to change the perception of life. Difference between material and spiritual is very simple. Material means when we are in the center. Spiritual means when we replace ourselves with Krishna, then Krishna becomes the center. So activities remain more or less same, unless these activities are not breaking the regulatory principles. Activities remain same. Like eating, we don't stop eating, but we eat after offering it to Krishna. We don't stop working, we do our jobs, but we know that center of our home is Krishna. It's Krishna's home. These relatives are not my relatives, they're Krishna's children, whom Krishna give me as responsibility to take care of. That is devotee's mode. So then every activity become devotional service. Not that just reading Bhagavad Gita is Krishna consciousness. For a devotee, even sleeping is Krishna consciousness. We'll come to all those themes when we read Bhagavad Gita. But don't get happy. Sleeping in adequate time, limited time, not whole day sleeping. But I'm saying that whatever devotee does, that all becomes Krishna consciousness if that is done under guidance and with Krishna in the center. So when Krishna is telling Arjun, do your duty, it doesn't mean that he has to just focus on one thing and forget about other things. No. Krishnera sansar karo, chhadi anachar. We have to make our world revolving around Krishna. That is the meaning of Krishna consciousness. So when we read the subsequent chapters, these themes will be more clear.
Sure,
Okay, Saurabh Prabhu?
One thing more, just Avdut, which you talked about in the last session, So Avdut, so Avdut is the highest stage of devotee. Is that the correct statement? Because
Yeah,
he's
Avdut
thinking
means
always about the Krishna.
Yeah, Avdut means he is oblivious of the external surroundings. He is so Krishna conscious that he is oblivious of external happenings. What is happening with his body? Is he hungry or is he thirsty? Is he dressed properly or not? He is just oblivious of everything else. But that stage comes naturally. When devotee becomes more advanced, then naturally he becomes so fixed in Krishna that nothing external matters. We have seen examples of 6 Goswamis. They don't know what is thirst and hunger. They, in 3-4 days, one time they take little buttermilk. They sleep less than 1.5 hours a day. Not during daytime, in 24 hours. Complete 1.5 hours a day. So this is like they're completely oblivious of external surroundings. Sukdev Goswami, he was walking naked, completely oblivious of what is happening around him. So that is Avadut. But that stage comes automatically when a devotee advances. Okay?
Oh, thank you, Hare Krishna.
Varat Krishna Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji, I just want to share something that, change of perspective. That, if we take -5, we will say that this is negative. It is negative with a reference of 0 or the axis. But if we take -5 with reference to -15, then -5 becomes +5, +10. So -5 is still -5, but if we change our reference, and this is what the Bhagavad Gita is giving us new references whereby we see things from a different perspective and we can be happy or be sad without knowing the Bhagavad Gita reference. So just I wanted to share this with the group.
Yeah, a beautiful example. Thank you, Bharat Krishna Prabhu. Thank you all devotees. See you next time. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai. Bhakti Sastri Bhaktivinoda ki jai.